Well, thank you. And to get started with the Emergency Operations Center, this was a project that I pitched to my class in leadership, and it lost by 1 vote. So I felt very strongly about it. I was a firefighter on the East Coast. The way I came up with the idea was I went to the fire chief and said, what does the city need most? And he said that we needed an emergency operations center. So that's how my project idea got started. So it took a couple years. We got some volunteers together. I started the amateur radio club, and the city manager gave us this room to work with. This was what the room basically looked like when we got started. So you can see, needed a lot of work. This is kind of a storage area, but when we got free furniture from the EOC, we ended up not needing it all. So anyway, we decided we would rehab this room and started working on getting donations, and we had manpower and unskilled labor like myself and skilled labor that we brought on. We put all new walls up, new drop ceiling, energy efficient lighting. The city was very helpful. They put in a generator outside, so we have a 25 kilowatt generator outside. This room can be used for anything public safety related. So when Neighborhood Watch wants to have a meeting, they can come in here. When a disaster service workers group wants to have a meeting, they can come in here. I believe the city got a $75,000 grant. They're going to turn this into a smart room. So that means they're going to put a camera up here and 2 more screens on that wall, and they're going to be able to do training either from here with an instructor or from another location with an instructor. You'll be able to see the instructor, talk to him, he'll be able to see you or the audience, and also have his PowerPoint or whatever he's got on the side display next to it. In the event of a disaster that warranted the opening of this room, the city leaders would come here, and only the city leaders. This room would not be packed with people. Probably be at most maybe 15 people, and there would be security at the door checking people in and out. They would run the city from this room. The reason there's 3 TVs up there is as long as that there's cable on, most of the city's information is going to come through the news. So we can put CNN, Fox, MSNBC, whatever news channels we wanted. We could have 3 different news sources on at the same time. So if the communications were to go down, we have amateur radio in this room and these 2 cubicles back here, or if the communications center that we work with, RCC, the Regional Communications Center I think it's called, if their system goes down, power, or any kind of problem, we won't have a dispatching area. So we could potentially dispatch from here because we'll have communications from this room. We've got police radios and fire radios in this room. We could also relay information on the amateur side. So we could put our amateur operators out in the field and shadow someone.
What's the importance of citizens being involved in amateur radio?
Well, I got involved initially because of Neighborhood Watch. I remember seeing my dad had learned amateur radio when I was a kid, and it seemed kind of neat, but I didn't want to have to learn Morse code. The new requirements are you don't have to know Morse code, which angers some of the older amateur radio operators, but that's another story. Residents can, in the event of a disaster, anything goes. So if you get your hands on amateur radio, you can use one without fear of being in trouble. If it's life and death, it's fair game. However, to practice and really be good with it, you need to practice. So to do that, you need to have a license from the FCC. And to get the license, you basically just have to take the test. And there are classes around here. There's a great class up in Palos Verdes. Free class. You take it, it's 2 Saturdays, and then you take the test. And it's relatively painless. It costs you about maybe $15 for the testing materials, and otherwise it's free. People don't like to think about disasters. They just want to believe that everything's going to be perfect and just like they thought it was the day before. However, when a disaster happens and you pick up the phone and call someone and they don't show up, you now have a disaster that is yours. If it's major, it will be all of ours.
If you would say one thing to encourage people in this direction for disaster preparedness, if you could say one thing to them, what would you say?
Be prepared.
Be prepared. Okay. Thanks again.